Hi everyone, welcome back to Kalal English Sports, where we make sports your English classroom. Today we're going to learn English by exploring some exciting news about Eritrean cyclist Biniam Girmay. Biniam Girmay has recently made history in the world of cycling. Let's dive into the news articles and learn new vocabulary and sentence structures while we discuss his remarkable achievements. Let's get started. The first news we're going to take a look at is from BBC World Service. Eritrea's Biniam Girmay has become the first Black African to win a Tour de France stage. We will try to understand these statements one by one by taking a look at the phrases. Therefore, let's start from the phrase Eritrea's Biniam Girmay. Over here, it tells us that Biniam Girmay is a cyclist from where? From Can you guys tell me where he's from? He's from Eritrea. For those of you who may not know, Eritrea is a country in Africa. So that is what this phrase tells us. Let's move on to the next phrase. Has become. This is the present perfect tense indicating an action that has recently happened. He won the race on Monday, so today is Thursday, at least when I'm making this video. So it happened recently, or it has happened recently, and that is why they used the present perfect tense. Let's move on to the next phrase. The first Black African. Over here, the word black tells us the color of Biniam Girmay's skin. So from this, we can understand that Biniam Girmay, he's black and he's also African. So this phrase, the first Black African, it tells us that Biniam Girmay is the first person of African descent with dark skin to achieve this milestone. Moving on to the next phrase, which is win a Tour de France stage. So over here, this phrase is trying to tell us that Biniam Girmay won one of the race segments in the prestigious Tour de France. That is correct. So in general, what this statement tries to tell us is Biniam Girmay has set a historical record by being the first Black African to win a stage in the Tour de France. The next news is also taken from BBC World Service. Eritrea's Biniam Girmay has made history by becoming the first Black African to win a stage of cyclists' most famous race, the Tour de France, beating a host of the world's fastest riders to the line in Turin. Just like we did for the previous news, which was also released by BBC World Service, we will try to take a look at or try to understand these statements one by one, or by taking a look at the phrases independently. So the phrase has made history means that Biniam's achievement is significant and will be remembered. So why are we going to remember this victory? Because he just made history by becoming the first Black African. With that, we will move on to the phrase by becoming. It indicates the manner in which Biniam made what? Biniam made history. So how did he make history? He made history by becoming. So whom did he become? He just became the first Black African to win the stage. The stage of what? The stage of cycling's most famous race. If you saw someone on TV and you say that person is famous, that means so many people know that person. For instance, I know Cristiano Ronaldo. I know so many people through the TV. So that means those people are famous. Just like that, cycling's most famous race, in this case, which is the Tour de France. So this phrase is trying to tell us that the Tour de France is known worldwide as the most prestigious cycling race. My knowledge in cycling is slim to none. I'm not even going to use the word slim. It's none. I know nothing, but I've heard of cycling. I've heard of not cycling. I've heard of Tour de France. So this race is that famous. I know nothing about cycling, but I know of Tour de France. I know that people cycle. Getting back to our lesson, let's take a look at the phrase beating a host of the world's fastest riders. Okay, so just because he's African, you might think, okay, so maybe he competed against people or against cyclists who were not that good. No, that is wrong, because This statement tells us that Biniam Girmay beat a host of the world's fastest riders. Therefore, what does this phrase mean? It means he won against many of the world's or many of the best cyclists globally. Not just in Africa, globally, because over here they used the word the world's fastest rider. So if he beat the best, that means he's also one of the best. Oh, I love that phrase. Now let's take a look at the phrase to the line in Turin. So it means the stage he won ended. Where did it end? It ended in Turin. So Turin is a city in Italy. So in general, or in a nutshell, what this phrase or what this statement tries to tell us is that Biniam's victory, it's not just about winning a stage, but also about defeating some of the fastest cyclists in the world in a famous race, which is, let me take it back, which is Tour de France. Okay, so I don't think I'm going to take it back. The next news is taken from Eurosport. So the statement says, what a dramatic finale. Biniam Girmay wins stage 3 of the Tour de France with a fantastic sprint finish. Let's start from the phrase dramatic finale. This exclamation expresses excitement about the ending of the race. Moving on to the phrase wins stage 3. It means Biniam won the third part of the Tour de France. So because if it said, let's say, stage 1, it means it is the first stage. If it said stage 2, it means he won stage 2, or 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 the second stage. But over here it says he won stage 3, which is the third stage of the Tour de France. With a fantastic sprint finish. Now we will focus on the phrase with a fantastic sprint finish. This phrase tells us that Biniam Girmay finished the race with what? With a sprint finish. So sprint finish refers to the race, or it means that the race ended with a sudden burst of speed. That means at the end of the race, he increased his speed and he was able to win that way. What this statement tells us in general is the fact that Biniam Girmay's win was thrilling because it was dramatic. It was thrilling and impressive, showcasing his sprinting ability. He was able to sprint at the end. The next news we got is from DW. Eritrean cyclist Biniam Girmay achieved a historic milestone by becoming the first Black African rider to win a stage in the Tour de France. He sprinted to victory in the third stage of the cycling event to secure victory on Monday. So when did it happen? It happened on Monday. All this. So let's try to understand the phrases one by one. I will start from achieved a historic milestone. It means he accomplished something very significant in history. So why are we saying something significant in history? Because here it says he achieved a historic milestone. The word historic tells us that Biniam Girmay made history. So how did he make history? Or why are we considering it a history? Because he became the first Black African rider, which means he is the first cyclist of Black descent to win this race. Moving on to the phrase sprinted to victory. It means he won by accelerating quickly at the end. And over here, okay, so let's try to take a look at this phrase, secure victory on Monday. So when did the race happen, or when did he compete? He competed on Monday. So the phrase secure victory on Monday tells us when the race took place. So in general, this entire statement tells us that Girmay's victory was a notable and historic achievement, making a significant moment in cycling history. Now our next okay, so this is not new. Of course, this is news, but it was a comment made by this person. I'm not even going to. Okay, so shall I try? I apologize in advance, like I always do. Okay, so we speak. I tried. Okay, so this person is the performance director for Biniam Girmay's Intermarché 1T team, and this was reported by France 24. There is a whole continent that has been waiting for this. It's been done now, and I hope it will open the floodgates for more riders from Africa. He's an ambassador in every way. This is what this person said about Biniam Girmay's victory. Now, let's take a look at a few of the phrases from this statement to understand what this person is trying to tell us. We'll start from a whole continent that has been waiting for this. So, continents. Let's start from the word continent. Biniam Girmay is from Eritrea. Eritrea is found in Africa. So when he said continent or the whole continent, he's referring to, or she is referring to, because I don't know whether it's a he or it's a she, or anyhow, this person is referring to Africa because Biniam Girmay is from Africa, he's from Eritrea. So the phrase a whole continent that has been waiting for this means many people in Africa have been anticipating such an achievement, because here it says waiting for this. So we've been waiting for this. Let's move on to the next phrase, and that is going to be open the floodgates. What do you think it means? Okay, so open the floodgates, it's a metaphor, meaning it will lead to many more similar successes. For instance, let's say I was a kid. So if I saw Biniam Girmay winning this race, I would be like, okay, so if he can do it, I can do it. Because as you can see, he's black, he's African, he's Eritrean. This person is trying to tell us that this victory will open the floodgates. It will lead to many more Biniam Girmays to bring the victory to our continent. So for more riders from Africa, you see, so the continent over here, it refers to Africa. He is an ambassador in every way. So the phrase ambassador in every way represents, by he I mean Biniam Girmay represents and inspires his country, not just his country, but also his continent. So this entire statement tells us that Girmay's win is a source of pride for Africa and could inspire more African cyclists to achieve great things. This is my first video in cycling, and I'm making this video. Why? Because an African man won it. That is my only reason. Girmay also made history in Italy 2 years ago when he won a stage at the Giro d'Italia. Ignore this. To become the first Black African to take a victory in a Grand Tour. The term that encompasses the three major 3-week races, the Giro or the Giro, the Tour, and the Spanish Vuelta. Let's focus on the English terms, because the Spanish one and the Italian one were a bit tricky. Made history in Italy. That means Biniam Girmay achieved another significant milestone where in Italy, but it happened in the past. It happened 2 years ago, or before 2 years. When we take a look at he won a stage at the Giro d'Italia, it means he won a part of another major cycling event to become the first Black African to take a victory. So the phrase, the first Black African to take a victory, where in a Grand Tour. So he was the first Black African to win a part of one of the top 3 cycling races. So over here, the Grand Tour, it refers to the 3 major cycling races, and those are the Giro d'Italia, Tour de France, and not the Vuelta a España. I tried. So these are the 3 major cycling races, according to the information I gathered from the internet. So in general, this statement tells us that Biniam Girmay has a history of significant achievements in cycling, not just in the Tour de France. Okay, so he has won here, I think he's left with just winning one of the major races. The next news we got is from Africa Zone Facts. It says cycling is the most popular sport in Eritrea. Eritrea has the best cyclists in Africa. Let's take a look at the phrase most popular sport. Okay, so this phrase tells us that the sport, which is cycling, or the sport that most people in Eritrea enjoy, so because it is the most popular sport. When we take a look at best cyclists in Africa, it means Eritrean cyclists are considered the top in Africa. This is new information to me. So, Eritrea has a strong cycling culture. I feel like that is what it means. And Eritrea produces excellent cyclists. Oh, it must be nice. Let's move on to the next news, and this is from The Guardian. Girmay won stage 3 of the 2024 Tour in Turin after a crash in peloton 3 kilometers from the finish dashed Mark Cavendish's hopes of becoming the Tour's record-breaking stage winner for yet another day. We will start from the phrase won stage 3. I feel like we already got that information, but I will make it fast. So he was victorious in the third part of the race because here it says stage 3. Crash in the peloton. The word crash and the entire phrase crash in the peloton, it tells us that there was a collision occurred in the main group of riders because it says crash in the peloton. Dashed Mark Cavendish's hopes. Okay, so it means well, his victory, not his victory, but the crash ended Cavendish's chances of winning because he crashed, he was not able to win, and Biniam Girmay was victorious. Moving on, record-breaking stage winner. It means Cavendish aimed to set a new record for most stage wins. Like I said, I know nothing about cycling, so all the information I'm telling you is from understanding the words. I have to take it back. It's from understanding the words or the phrases that are put together in this statement. So what this tells us is the fact that Girmay's win, it was influenced by, what do you think it was influenced by? It was influenced by the crash in the peloton, or it was influenced by a crash or the collision that occurred in the peloton and that affected one of the main competitors. And one of the main competitors was Mark Cavendish. Moving on to the news that was reported by BBC Sports. Biniam Girmay made history as the first Black African to win a Tour de France stage as Mark Cavendish was held up by a late crash on the run into Turin. Let's focus on the phrase made history. By now you guys should understand what this phrase means. Made history, that means he achieved something notable. Because we are going to remember it. And the other one is held up by a late crash. So over here, this statement is talking about Mark Cavendish. So it means Cavendish was delayed due to a crash near the end because it says a late crash. Girmay's win is historic. That is a good point. And the crash affected his competitor's performance. I did not say that. This is according to the report by BBC Sports. Here it says, again, another report by BBC Sports. Okay, so this is what Biniam Girmay said as reported by BBC Sports. So he said, I would say thanks to God for everything, for giving me all the strength and support. First, okay, so I'm not explaining anything. I'm just happy that he thanked God because he said, thank God. So the phrase thanks to God expresses his gratitude to a higher power, to God. Strength and support. It refers to the physical and emotional help he received. So he's thanking God for giving him all the strength and support. So over here, Biniam Girmay acknowledges the role of faith and support for his success. I'm not surprised. The next statement we're going to take a look at is also going to be from BBC Sports. Okay, so it's going to be very hard for me to read this part, but I will try. Okay, so it is also taken from BBC Sports. Since I started cycling, I was never dreaming to be part of the Tour de France, but now I can't believe it. I want to say thank you to my family, my wife, Eritrea. Let's start from the phrase never dreaming to be part. It means he never imagined he would participate in major stages, if I may say. So over here, when he said, thank you, my family, my wife, Eritrea, over here he's expressing gratitude to those who supported him. So those who supported him are his family, because he said, my family, his wife, because he said, my wife, and Eritrea, his country. So he's thanking everyone. From this statement, you can understand that Girmay is humbled and he's also grateful for his unexpected success and support from his loved ones and country. Girmay continues, we must be proud. Now we are part of the big races and have success. Now is our moment. Now is our time. This is for Africa. The statement that he made over here, especially this is for Africa, is one of the reasons I made this video. Let's start. We must be proud. Over here, he's encouraging everyone to feel pride because he is the champion, part of the big races, and have success. It means Africans are now succeeding in major cycling events. How do I know that? Because Biniam Girmay is African and he is the champion. Moving on to now is our moment, now is our time. This phrase emphasizes the significance of the current achievements. So what this tells us is that Biniam Girmay's victory, it symbolizes a breakthrough for African cyclists in major international competitions. So I want to say that Biniam Girmay's historic win at the Tour de France is not only a personal triumph, but also a significant achievement for Eritrea in Africa. His success obviously highlights the talent and potential of African cyclists on the world of stage. Let's continue to follow his journey and learn more about his success obviously highlights the talent and potential of African cyclists on the world of stage. Let's continue to follow his journey and learn more about his inspiring story. And I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video and see you next time.